Glenn Young, Amazon's fitness magazine, celebrate the female physique, AmazonFitMag.com, and I'm on set. And joining me is IFBB Women's Physique Pro, back again, year 2 for the Valentine's Parachute, Sarena Berish. Beautiful. Looking good. Looks like you're getting ready for something.
I'm in the process of,
Okay.
yes. Yep, trying to shoot and don't have anything specifically set, but definitely getting back on stage again this year.
Okay.
I'm thinking, maybe the spring or maybe a little after that, but you'll definitely see me back on stage this year.
I was just thinking that maybe you was getting ready for my photo shoot.
I mean, that too.
Yeah.
Of course, gotta look good for Amazon's, of course. Gotta be
So how you been?
Things are good.
Yeah.
Yep, moved to a new area, so.
Yeah, you left Pennsylvania. Now you're in. You were in Pittsburgh, right?
No, I
You were
I grew
actually
up
was in
Central-
West Virginia.
Yep. So I lived in West Virginia for a
Okay.
little bit. Grew up in Central PA. Moved down to Virginia Beach area. So
Okay.
just been finding a job, just kind of getting life situated and trying to prep at the same time. So just kind of taking all these balls in the air and trying to get everything level so that we can have a good and productive prep. So it's
Always
been-
important.
Yeah.
So you're on the beach,
Yep. Right by it.
right? Yeah,
which has
Virginia
always been
Beach.
my
I love
dream.
that area.
It's beautiful.
What do you think when you look out there and the hot topics of things that people are talking about? Natural versus not natural, PEDs versus not PEDs, the use of THC versus while training. I mean, do you have an opinion? And you don't have to get in too deep, but I want to know your opinion matters. And so,
Yeah.
the thing that gets me is nobody's talking to the competitors, nobody's talking to the women. I hear a lot of guys talking, but
They love
what's
to
your
talk.
thought?
Yeah, this is true. I mean, there's definitely been a lot of scary things going on within the industry. A big thing, a big reason that at least I get into like coaching and trying to help other girls is that a lot of guys do try to push girls on a lot of things that aren't safe or healthy, or even just too much of things. Everything can be done in a safe and healthy way. I also think other people think that their opinions matter a little too much about trying to give their opinions of what
Right.
everybody else is doing. When it comes to the PEDs, that's a personal matter. It's medical history, so technically it's illegal to for these people to be asking people like that guy that goes up and shoves cameras in people's faces
Right.
and asks them if they're natural or not. I think that's kind of bullshit because that
Yeah, I
should
saw
not
that
be
guy.
expected
Yeah,
to
like
ask.
yeah,
Yeah, I hate that. I know he did it. Did it to Teresa.
yeah. I saw that in
Yeah.
Olympia. I'm
Yeah,
like,
it was not.
I thought she was gonna knock the shit out.
Yeah, she did not look happy.
But I mean, the thing about it, he's just trying to get licensed stuff on YouTube and
and they
subscribers.
don't care about
And
the kickback, especially
Right.
for females. Like, this is the way the sport has
Right.
progressed is nobody can get to, those top levels naturally.
Right.
So, there are things that have to be done in order to get to where you want to be if this really is your passion and what you're really trying to go for.
Right.
And that is, a personal decision to decide whether or not you can handle that.
Right.
Some people can, some people can't. I have seen some girls kind of spiral afterwards, get some bad advice, and
Right.
gain a bunch of weight and never be able to bounce back, or have severe thyroid issues. Just all those things as females that we're more susceptible to than guys. Our bodies, our hormones are very sensitive. They
Right.
don't always bounce back. So if you are going to choose to do those things, having a good coach that is going to keep you healthy is super important. Also, not just someone who's just going to throw you on stage, not care about your health and kind of overlook everything, just want to pump you full of drugs and all kinds of stuff.
Right.
Can be super, super dangerous. So it's especially scary as like a young female being new in the sport. You're going to have guys all over trying to tell you, well, this is what you should be doing. I mean,
Right.
I've even dealt with it somewhat recently, and people trying to tell me that what I'm doing isn't correct, and I need to be doing this, I need to be doing that. Especially as a pro, I should do this and that. But I try not. I don't listen to those people because I'm the one who got myself to pro.
Right.
Listening, of course, with the help of different coaches. The coach I have now, Derek from Team Loud, is absolutely amazing, incredibly health conscious. Never would try to push me into anything I'm not okay
Right.
with. Allows me to ask questions without, it's not just one of those like, no, do it because I said so. Like, we communicate about things, and that's what I really, really love. I went through a lot of coaches before I found Derek,
Right.
and have been very, very happy with him.
So is it your first year with him?
No, so I did my pro debut with him.
Okay.
So I've been with him a little over 2 years now.
And Derek, what's his last name?
Derek Natcher.
Derek Natcher.
pretty
Shout out
loud.
to him.
Yep, shout out to Derek
Yeah.
because he's amazing.
That's important because the coaches they're the bottom line. They have the level of responsibility, and everybody something happens bad with a competitor, they look immediately to the coach, whether they didn't do well or whatever happened. One thing you saw coming out of Olympia, it was like that Monday was like Black Friday. All coaches were getting fired. Everybody say, "I'm done with this coach," and I'm like, "Wow!" And it just seemed more prevalent this year. So I found that interesting. When you look at how to pick a coach, what goes into it, or was this just a thing? Okay, frustrated, give it a couple of days, and then make the decision whether you should have a new coach or not. Because just because you don't do well is not a reason to fire your coach. You know?
I mean, absolutely. For my pro debut, we didn't come in exactly how we wanted, but I don't blame Derek for that.
Right.
It was our first show together. It's always a learning process. Sometimes you never know how your body's going to respond. I drove down to Florida, so even just that difference between being in West Virginia and Florida,
Right.
of course, that makes just a huge difference in the
That
body,
heat,
the humidity,
yeah.
exactly. All
And
of
then the
that.
8-hour, 12-hour drive.
Oh, it was more like 16, I think. Yeah.
And you're like me. I like to drive. I'm not with that
Yeah,
flying.
I drive
Jeez,
everywhere.
I'm
'Cause
sorry.
I like to do my own tan.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I always bring my stuff with me, and
Yeah.
I like to control that part of it.
So even now you do your own tan. You wouldn't use Pro Tan or any of the guys, Liquid Rays, or of course
Yeah.
you work with Olympia Tanning, so you know how to do it. Unlike a lot of people, just like okay,
Exactly. It's not necessarily that I don't trust the other companies. Like I do know a lot of the girls from Pro Tan. They're amazing. I've heard really good things about Liquid Sun Rays over the years. Just me personally, I know how the Pro Tan product reacts to my skin. And when I can do it, then, I don't have to worry about having to be somewhere at a certain time. I
Right.
can just do it, at the Airbnb that I'm at. And it's just easier and allows me to put more of my focus on the show time instead of, I got to be here at this time and then back and, makeup, hair, and all this other stuff. So to me, it's just easier to, take care of it myself.
and so it's a pretty big deal when you look at it. Last year was your pro debut.
Yeah, well, the end of 2021.
End of 2021.
Yeah, so it took last year
and
off.
then took last year off. And typically that's pretty much the way it goes. Everybody, they'll get the pro card, they'll take a year off for their growing season or improvement season. How do you feel going into this season, assuming that you are going to do a show this year? And I guess that's a good assumption. But how do you feel?
I do feel more confident. I had, a few weeks of kind of feeling like I was going backwards, just stress in, personal life and trying
Right.
to deal with everything going on. But he's, my coach Derek has very much kept me grounded.
Right.
I was thinking about, pulling back and maybe pushing everything back. And he was the one that kind of, snapped me out of it and was like, no, you're right on track. You're doing exactly
Right.
what I need you to do. And we just need to keep doing it. So, again, we don't have anything super set in stone. I haven't signed any contracts or anything, but just going to keep following the plan and hopefully everything goes according to plan and we can do, I'd like to do a couple shows this year
Right.
if possible. So just kind of, putting the work in, keeping my head down and just trying to make sure everything goes according to plan.
All right, I'm going to let you out of here on this one. Women's physique division versus women's bodybuilding division. Popularity is women's physique division nothing more than the minor leagues waiting to get called up to the majors, that being women's bodybuilding.
Personally, I say absolutely not, because they are completely different goals that we go for.
Right.
So, of course, with the bodybuilding, that mass that they have, me personally, I personally don't want to carry that much mass on my body. I love women's physique for being more about shape and conditioning, because that's, where I strive, is my shape. Conditioning is something I always struggle with, but again, we're doing a lot better with this year. With just, getting everything early, coming in better. I respect the hell out of the female bodybuilders, don't get me wrong. They are all absolutely amazing. Teresa Vancic is a friend of mine.
Yes,
love
mine too.
watching her progress.
Love
and,
Teresa.
You as well. And everything.
Teresa Vancic is a paid contributor writer for Amazon's Fitness magazine. You're going to love it, the March issue of what she's going to write. And, of course, she's the July cover last year, so I was very excited for that relationship. But, yes, she's one of my faves.
It doesn't have to be like a stepping stone, It's
No.
not like, bikini is just waiting to be figure, waiting to be wellness. We each have
But,
our strengths.
Teresa was once women's physique. Rashana Boswell was once women's physique. I think 2017, the biggest thing was that women's physique couldn't have striated glutes. And now it's like, it's like, what?
If you look at the original definition of women's physique, it wanted no striations.
Yeah, now it's like, whoa.
If you're not completely striated,
Right.
they won't pick you. So it's the judges as well for, what they've been choosing and
Right.
kind of forcing us to go the directions to try to be the top in our divisions.
Right.
So it's Yeah, it can be difficult sometimes to kind of walk that line, especially with keeping the femininity and
muscularity,
trying to build the
femininity.
muscle.
Yes,
Exactly.
yeah.
So it's a challenge.
And the thing that gets me is like when competitors may be asked to say, "Hey, you are just too big. You need to move up to women's bodybuilding." If that were ever to happen to you, have you thought about if they ask you that question on judges' feedback, or would that? And would a lot of women's physique say, "Oh, okay, I guess I'm done with competing because I'm not going to be a women's bodybuilder."
Honestly, I haven't really thought about it because I don't do some of the things necessary to put on that kind of size.
Right.
Like my body does put on muscle, fairly easily, but I don't have the best genetics. I have to work. I've had to work really hard for what I have. This is 10 years of every day putting my all into this. So I've never had anybody really ask me that. So that just it's never.
But
really
that
something I consider.
makes me the first, huh?
It does, yeah. I mean,
I hope that's a good thing.
Oh yeah, no, that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Women's physique, because honestly, I'm being told now that I'm still too small. Physique is another thing that people are trying to get.
So
in
you're
my
being
head
told
and
that
kind
you're
of
too
sway me.
small.
Yep. But that's what, physique should not be a size contest. It's not bodybuilding, which I'm so glad that they brought it back so that they can, honor these women that do go for that size, because it is amazing and incredibly hard to get to as a female. But I like the shape and conditioning. I first got into it with Dana Lynn Bailey back in 2013.
Yes.
Loved her shape and size. She grew up not far from me. So I was like,
Yes.
wow, this is attainable. Like, I know I can do this. And that's what really kept me into women's physique, and that's why I love that so much, because I do want to stay, keep the leaner, pretty muscle, but I love the posing as well. So that's why, I wouldn't want to go down to figure, just because, beautiful class, don't get me wrong, but quarter turns, I love the routine. I love the frontal
And
bicep.
the heels.
I love getting to do, I don't want to worry about having to carry heels around with me. So only having to worry about my suit and jewelry just makes show day easier. But no, I personally don't have any ambition of getting into the bodybuilding class. Physique is absolutely where I want to stay and where I think I belong.
Well, thanks to you for being so candid and answering my question.
Absolutely.
I really appreciate it. Sarena Berish, IFBB Women's Physique Pro. Instagram is Hippie Muscles, right?
Hippie Muscles.
All right, yeah. So see there, give a flex again. All right, so that's a shout out to Female Bodybuilding channel, AJ and JB, who I had a great conversation with earlier. So hopefully big things will happen there as well. So you ready to do this?
I'm ready.
All right. Day 2 shooting with IFBB Women's Physique Pro Sabrina Berish. Celebrate the women's physique. I'm tired. I was in it one thing. Shoot. Let me try it again. Celebrate the women's physique. AmazonsFitMag.com. I'm Glenn Young. Make sure you subscribe to both the website, AmazonsFitMag.com, and of course, YouTube channel, Amazon's Fitness Magazine. Let's do this.